I guess you've been receiving a little mail lately, and maybe now you're starting to realize that there are a lot of folks here in Wisconsin that are not very happy about the secretive and deceitful process this act was put together, which certainly was not done in the spirit of the law. And when people still have no idea that hunting and trapping are going to be allowed in their state parks, that's a pretty good indicator that you have also done a poor job in informing the public. However, keeping people uninformed makes it easy to get things passed quickly when there is no one to challenge the issues. It seems there were also a lot of shenanigans in offering 7 amendments in 9 days after the public hearing, passed by the Assembly on November 1st without any public hearing at all, and the next day the State Parks Amendment was, voila, included in this very complicated bill by simply crossing out a few words. I suppose this was the only way they would be able to grab property that belongs to all Wisconsin citizens. I think this has shown a total disregard and disrespect for the rest of us. Look at how many people have come together in such a short time to write or to come and speak here. We have real concerns and we want you to listen to us. Why does our last vestige of a natural retreat where we can be at peace in nature, where there are already, in quote, millions of public hunting land available to hunters, including the 1,550,000 acre Chequamegon Nicolet National Forest, the 95,000 acre National Wildlife Refuge System, the 1.1 million acres of state managed forest land and county land. Wisconsin's 60 state parks and recreation areas would only open up 60,570 additional acres. Is it worth reducing park usage and risking public safety just to add 1 to 2% to our state's public hunting acreage? This is from the Sierra Club newsletter. Parks are a place we go to de-stress, to find peace and connect with nature, alone, with our families and or pets, and we feel safe. We don't want guns and traps in our state parks, and we don't want to find the wildlife that we look forward to observing instead frightened, injured, or killed. We and the wildlife should feel safe there. Guns and traps just don't fit into my idea of a park, and I'm angry it's being taken from us this way. Where should we and all other park users go for the 7 months that the parks will be open to hunting and trapping? Are we really supposed to believe that we will be safe and carry on as before in our parks with a 100-yard buffer? The hunters and trappers have enough land. They should not be taking away the little bit that the state parks represent. It's a bad law that never should have been passed. Please do the right thing now. Please delay the implementation of Act 168 until the rest of Wisconsin citizens that still have no idea that this will be allowed are informed. That's what we consider transparency in a democracy.
When I heard about Act 168, I was just in disbelief. And so I'm here today. I want to give you just a real quick story about end of this last October. I was up with a friend to go to Gibraltar Rock, and I didn't know anything about Act 168. But when we pulled our car into the parking lot and then we saw the signs that said essentially, you know, hunters, you go off of this way, and everybody else who's not hunting, you go off this way. And I cannot tell you the disbelief that I had. A lot of people have talked about catching a stray bullet themselves or their animals, their children and such. I want to bring up the point that I don't need to necessarily catch a stray bullet to feel the pain. Will we allow wild things to be wild? This is something I heard on a PBS special about the bison hunts. And a man at the end of the program asked that very wise question.
My name is Jim Rose, and I'm a hunter. I grew up in a small town in eastern North Carolina where hunting was a part of the culture. Nearly everyone had a gun for hunting. I have hunted all my life, and when I came to Wisconsin to live in Wisconsin in 1970, I was overwhelmed by the beauty of the state and the opportunities to enjoy outside activities. It makes sense to me to open state lands to deer hunting, but only during a 9-day season. I feel that it is irresponsible to encourage hunters and non-hunters to be in the woods at the same time. Being hit by a stray bullet is a real danger, and the risk of being wounded or killed is a risk many park users are not going to want to take. Even if you wear blaze orange, this does not lessen the fear you experience when you're competing with hunters for recreational access. Statistics, along with common sense, confirm that when someone is in the area with a gun, the likelihood of a person getting killed is greater. I believe that it is unreasonable to ask the majority of Wisconsin park users to risk their lives in order to use the state parks between mid-October and the beginning of summer.
My name is John Madden. I know I'm in bad territory. My name is John Madden. I'm the newly appointed superintendent of the Ice Age National Scenic Trail, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to provide comments regarding the Wisconsin DNR's implementation for Act 168, the Sporting Heritage Bill, which the legislature passed in April of this year. Among the Act's most notable tenets is the expansion of hunting and trapping privileges in state parks and state ice age trail areas previously closed to such activities. I arrive here today a ranger with 32 years of experience in the regulatory and enforcement aspects of park operations. $13.5 million of federal taxpayer monies have been obligated since the year 2000 for the purchase of public lands in the great state of Wisconsin. And I'm told that historically, when we approached the individual landowners to the great offices of DNR, it was understood that they would not be public hunting on their land. Yeah. The state corridor is only, or the trail corridor, excuse me, is only 24 inches wide. But land purchased to the left and right side of the trail is, you might want to call it a scenic easement to replicate and identify and protect those values for the geologic, the drumlins, the eskers. I'm learning all these words. And the kettles. And I'll be tested on this when I get back with my staff. So that's our impact. That's our worry with the trail, is that we might get users, and we're trying to draw people from the inner cities out onto the trail, trying to connect them with the trail. And we're concerned that they might have grown up in communities that don't have a gun hunting culture, and we're not against hunting. It's just that we're concerned about the specific and scenic nature of the trail.
It was a complete surprise that this was happening. Act 168 was a reality until very recently. So I was really in the dark and informed my family, informed every friend I can think of about this, and a lot of them also were not aware. My family had some favorite parks. Governor Dodge and Devil's Lakes are favorite parks. Children meet their father at Devil's Lake different times of the year, and that's a special area for them. I want to protect the parks, and I want to protect my family. I don't feel at all safe telling them now, go there, when hunting is allowed.
According to the Blue Book and the paragraph concerning the responsibilities of the NRB, it is my feeling that you are not fully considering your major duties with the implementation of the law regarding hunting and trapping in the state parks. Does this law protect and enhance Wisconsin's natural resources, as hunters and trappers are free to leave the park trails in pursuit of their prey? By allowing hunting in the state parks, the DNR is concentrating on hunting and trapping at the detriment of the people that participate in other outdoor activities. Silent sports and hobbies are not 5-month activities. These hobbies are not turned off and on month by month. The state parks are central to these hobbies. There are numerous competitions year-round in Door County in which participants train, change modalities, and compete in many different activities using the parks. Believe it or not, hunting and golfing seem to be going down. The interest now for the younger generation is in training for triathlons, half Ironmans, marathons, etc. And I'm witnessing that for the people that I see in Door County. All activities enhance the residents' health and mental well-being and will be negatively affected by the overuse of hunting in our most treasured resource, our state parks. Tourism in Door County will be down. Door County tourism happens year-round.
I'm representing myself, but I have to say that I'm one of many cross-country skiers, and so I think I may be speaking in general terms for the cross-country skiing community. Appreciate the revisions that you made to the maps most recently, but they just, as Representative Halsey said, I just don't think they go far enough. You know, there's a lot of parks that have a lot of ski trails that are off, and they're off in areas that are marked as open. And you know, why would you even bother building these trails if people are concerned about their safety? Your job is to protect public safety, and I feel that you are protecting public safety by opening up these lands. There was a study done last year by the DNR that showed that hunting is incompatible with a lot of the silent sports that are out there in the park, and there's a lot of park users who practice silent sports. And as many other speakers, including the previous one, said, there's a lot of other opportunities for hunters to go out and apply their sporting activity on state lands already. So please, as Representative Mercer says, close these lands using your prerogative to protect public safety.
We need to look at the big picture and determine if this law will serve our state or if it'll create safety and economic problems that'll put our state in danger. Are people in the state in favor of this law and the implementation plan? No. The people who spoke in previous listening sessions overwhelmingly were opposed to hunting and trapping because they were concerned about their safety, the safety of children and their pets.
I'm a DNR employee, but I'm not representing the department. I'm speaking as a citizen. I'm also a former president of the Madison Nordic Ski Club, but I'm not representing the club either. I'm just representing myself. So my main concern is public safety. I just don't think it's safe to allow hunting in state parks on a large scale while other users are in the parks, especially during those times of the year when the leaves are on the deciduous trees and shrubs are out. I think allowing hunting to occur in the parks at the same time as other park uses is asking for trouble. I'm not anti-hunting. Although I'm not a hunter, I have tagged along on a few hunts in my day. Rather, I'm pro-public safety. I think there's a time and a place for most things, and I think this bill promotes the wrong activity in the wrong place and at the wrong time if other users are in the parks at the same time. Wisconsin hunters have an admirable safety record, and I'm guessing that's partly because we haven't encouraged things like this on a large scale in the past. I know there has been limited hunting allowed in state parks, and as far as I know, so far so good. But if we expand hunting to nearly all the state parks for 6 or 7 months of the year, I think it's not a question of if someone is going to get hurt because of it, it's just a question of when.
The Wisconsin State Park System is the only area where non-hunters can go during the hunting season to enjoy nature and remain safe from the hunting and trapping activities. During the hunting season, hunters and trappers are allowed to utilize vast amounts of land outside of the park system that the remaining public can only use for recreational use at their own risk. This is the very reason why the state park system needs to remain free from hunting and trapping activity or any other activities that would harm park visitors.
Act 168 is a massive power grab over all aspects of Wisconsin wildlife and all public lands for killing. This human-caused destruction of other species must have our attention. They are the targets, we are just collateral damage. If we want safe state parks, we must organize to democratize a corrupt special interest system, which has been amassing power against us for 80 years. The hunters and trappers own the legislature where policy is made because they care enough about killing wildlife to be organized. Legislators care enough about being reelected to give them anything they want. Act 168 did much more than take state parks. It took our $1.67 billion general citizen investment in stewardship lands and all public lands to prioritize killing out our last wildlife refuges. It also mandates that the Natural Resources Board, to whom you are appealing, be controlled by 4 of the 7 members being hunter-trapper activists. The entire political structure governing wildlife in all public lands is now set in law to remain under totalitarian control of hunters. They have always had the only say in governing our Commonwealth by structuring the DNR on killing licenses. We should be funding all of us should be funding our wildlife and public lands. There are no saving licenses. It's totally unfair that you or I cannot go in and save as many animals as we want for $4, but a trapper can kill unlimited animals for pennies year after year. Several million innocent animals are killed deliberately in traps and seasons year-round, night and day, and it's not sustainable. Killing is not conservation, and it is inflicting great harm and suffering to our home. We do not have to live in violence year-round. Our Commonwealth must be reformed to general public funding for a first-time democracy. Democratic reform, adding participation of the 90% of the public who do not kill wildlife in designing policy, would strengthen the state, which is perfect habitat for wildlife. Our skies and woods and waters should be full of life. They are full of death. Certainly we can be more imaginative than teaching children that killing wildlife year after year is fun. Wildlife watchers actually bring more revenue to state tax coffers than hunters, much more without inflicting destruction. We are organizing to gain our citizen rights. Please join us. Wisconsin Wildlife Ethic has a website. I have flyers. Join us to get your rights.